Greetings to everyone, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me to make this presentation on our experiences of blended learning and the flipped classroom using technologies of the fourth industrial and educational revolution during the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Professor Sandile Songca. I am the Deputy Vice Chancellor responsible for teaching and learning here at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Looking at some definitions and reflections, we see that according to a recent definition, in the flipped classroom, students engage with learning content independently and on their own, with intermittent classes, virtually or face-to-face, under the guidance of their teachers. We see also that in blended learning, online education is combined with traditional face-to-face classroom methods to achieve hybrid or mixed methods. The combination of the flipped classroom and blended learning incorporates both features in that students engage independently with learning content both online and face-to-face. Flipped and blended learning classroom appears to have been the preferred or even the natural choice during the COVID-19 pandemic across the world among many universities. On the question of whether the flipped classroom is the same as blended learning or different, the jury is still out, in that some educationists see blended learning as inseparable from the flipped classroom, while others see them as expressions of the same thing. However, there is substantial support in recent literature for the combination view of blended learning with the flipped classroom methodology. Slide 3. The flipped classroom is the model of blended learning that this presentation will be discussing in some detail because it is seen as the interface between online learning and face-to-face classroom learning, and because it is seen as an enabler for a number of other approaches such as flex learning, enriched virtual learning, online learning, face-to-face learning, rotation learning, outside-in learning, inside-out learning, and importantly, project-based learning. The flipped classroom is the traditional classroom flipped in terms of in-class and out-of-class activities. With the traditional classroom, very little learning activities happen outside the scheduled classroom. In the classroom, students listen to and watch professors presenting, and there is engagement. After class, students consolidate their understanding and do their work as prescribed or otherwise. While the flipped classroom, on the other hand, there is ample self-directed learning outside the class because it is prescribed in the flipping. Furthermore, the traditional classroom is transformed into a platform for deep student engagement with questions and answers, discussions, quizzes, problem solving, preparation for classes, and preparation for the next class. Slide 5. A discussion of blended learning should probably start with the community of inquiry framework, which consists of the coincidence of social, teaching, and cognitive presence to provide a composite student learning experience. Slide 6. Watson in 2008 described blended learning as a continuum between online face-to-face. Hannon and McCann in 2014 confirmed this view with 3 models within the Watson continuum. In 2018, Cleveland, Innes, and Wilton described it as an alteration between synchronous and asynchronous, as well as between online and face-to-face. Slide 6. Here at UKZN, our own system emulates blended learning activities that are observed in New Zealand to provide a total student experience. It does not replace traditional learning. It successfully utilizes digital technologies and blends them with the traditional style of learning. It is used together with all the traditional teaching, learning, assessment, and teacher evaluation through student feedback. The model identifies the virtual learning environment requiring devices, connectivity, and virtual infrastructural support. The self-directed home learning environment is identified here with many difficulties with regard to how conducive it is to both face-to-face, online, and blended learning. Depending on the levels of COVID-19 as declared by the National Task Team, the traditional face-to-face environment was allowed, partly, completely, or completely prohibited. All these environments are supported by a robust student support organization within the learning and teaching and colleges. The portal for the blended learning included the Learning Online and Teaching Online portals, with the My UKZN app now coming into the form. Slide 8. The UKZN pedagogy consisted of the flipped classroom, blended learning and online learning pedagogy with alternating iterations of synchronous and asynchronous learning, flexible interventions by staff, and consultation of staff teams by students, student-driven learning, all of which are underpinned by the 10 student-centered principles. Slide 9. We have reflected on the results of the implementation of this model. Implementation of the model is currently work in progress in each of our 4 domains, including virtual learning, self-directed learning, traditional learning, and virtual support. Full implementation of the virtual learning and teaching pedagogy is also work in progress regarding the 7 asynchronous learning activities and their 10 underpinning principles. Now, 15 risks identified include participation in online or virtual learning, quality assurance, student recruitment, staff and student wellness, security and integrity of online, assessments integrity, accreditation, practical learning and teaching, learning management systems capacities, open virtual sessions, facilitation, teaching and learning, keeping up or dropping out. And communications have started to become a problem, as well as privacy. The literature results indicate a slight higher preference of the flipped classroom on learning over the traditional, and slightly higher pass rates and student satisfaction. Now, in contrast, however, UKZN data shows significantly enhanced student academic performance in 2020 and 2021, although these were considered suspect in the absence of proctoring. So we continue to improve our methodology from our institutional research and data analytics to scan the literature to establish what other universities in South Africa and abroad are doing in the space of transitioning from face-to-face to online learning and digital transformation. I really thank you for listening.